you romp, romping through the swamp, romping through the swamp in the month of May, wading through the slimy ooze, you can drive away your blues, romping through the swamp.
In the annals of American motorsports, swamp buggy racing stands west and alone. Come on, join us in a celebration of swamp fever. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Naples, Florida, the one and only home of World Championship swamp buggy racing. I'm Steve Evans. You know, it was over a decade ago that Diamond P Sports first came here to shoot the action for American Sports Cavalcade on TNN. In fact, it was the first year of TNN. And what started out as kind of a giggle to have a look at something strange and different turned into an annual affair because of public reaction. The rating's higher than anything else we do. So here we are once again. And I'd like to think that part of the popularity is because Brock Yates and I, well, we've had a little bit of fun along the way with these weird machines and the neat people that race them, as you'll see in this video. Our introduction to swamp fever came in 1983 at what is now known as the old swamp buggy track, or the new industrial park. And yes, that's the one. And how appropriate, because Leonard Chester was already the one when we met.
How important is the driver in one of these machines?
Probably, drivers probably on these, it's probably about 50%.
That much?
That's all, about 50%.
All right, now the other 50% is design or horsepower or what?
It's design, horsepower, and keeping it running. That water and rough treatment, it's hard to keep them going, you know.
How do you keep it from just drowning out the engine?
Well, you just seal off everything, but you still got to let air get to the distributor and stuff or the sweat, you know. Mm-hmm. That's not too much problem. Breaking down problems is what's hard, you know, like when it hit the holes, the back wheels lose traction and over-rev and blow the engine.
Leonard was not the only hero of the swamp back then. Terry Langford and the original Rubber Duck took a backseat to nobody. And there's Collier County Sheriff Aubrey Rogers. Always on hand as flagman, Sheriff Rogers kept the beat on the Mile of Mud. Here's a heat race from 1983 featuring Leonard Chester and That's the One, Langford and Rubber Duck, and Larry Andrews and Digger. Now, I'll bet you can see right away that as a driver, you don't want to be second. The only way to tell your distance from the leader is by how hard his rooster tail is hitting you in the face. Now, Terry Langford in the Duck was out to prove that Leonard Chester had lost all touch with reality. Langford knew that That's the One was getting long in the tooth and that his Rubber Duck was technologically superior. Look at Leonard. He had to manhandle his buggy every step of the way, and the faster he went, the worse it got. Langford thought that he had the engine horsepower, and on top of that, he was running skinnier and taller front wheels that essentially were rudders at speed. And as fate would have it, Terry took his favorite racing line, the outside, mashed his flip-flop through the floor pad, and gave the legend a soaking he wouldn't forget, until he built a new buggy with advanced technology of its own. Now, as Langford stretched his lead and headed for the finish line, all he needed to do was to make it through the infamous Sippy Hole, named after a guy named Morris from Mississippi who never once made it through. Then there was Mississippi, but that's another story. At about 6 foot deep, the Sippy Hole was a known devourer of buggies not fast enough to escape its watery clutches. No problem. Langford was in the big feature, and Leonard was on the trailer.
Where did you get your big break out there? There was so much water we couldn't really see.
I couldn't even see them. I couldn't see them either.
So you were trying to go to the outside to get some visibility?
I just hoped I wasn't hitting them. I didn't know where they were. I couldn't see them.
Looked like you maybe had more power than any of them, though.
I hope.
Now, a love story for the ages. Tom and Debbie Engel, having recently been featured on the cover of High Society and Mobile Home Monthly, took the hearts of the swamp community with a charm and elegance that only a cocked-up Jeep named Reaper Madness could do. And as a hapless LeBon LeBuff and his two-cylinder, two-wheel drive monstrosity stalled during the running of the little feature, Tom and Debbie waltzed their way into swamp lore to the strains of a waterlogged four-cylinder motor. Lady Luck, as Debbie would thereafter be known, was already perfecting the haughty, gum-chewing nonchalance that would endear the magic couple to fans all over America. Then it was time for the race that would determine the king of the swamp. Enter David Sims and Shag Nasty to challenge Langford, the Ingalls, and R.W. Wingo in new toy. Now, did they call this race a Grand Prix? No. A Trophy Dash? No. How about Swamp Grand National? No way. This was the big feature. David Sims in his 8-cylinder 4-wheel drive buggy led for a while, but the swamp gods were smiling on Terry Langford. The mighty silicon goop, god of waterproofing, held the tides at bay, while the powerful Volta, goddess of the dry magneto, kept the juice flowing long enough for Terry Langford to become king of the swamp. Majestic was the only word that came to mind as Terry Langford styled his rubber duck to victory. Now, as for the Ingalls, well, Lady Luck came up dry, as it were, as the Mile of Mud decided to bogart Reefer Madness. It was unbelievable. The highest rated show of 1983 was swamp buggy racing, which meant only one thing. We were back in '84, and so were Tom and Debbie Ingalls. Brock Yates took it upon himself to probe the personalities behind the business.
The big question is, you got that far, but how about an overall victory this time?
Oh, I'm ready.
Can you do it?
Yeah?
How about it, Tom? You showed a lot of confidence this year.
No, it's not an overall thing. If we do the Jeep class, we'll be happy. We have about 25 Jeeps here, and all of them's out to win.
You know what? You haven't got your gum in your mouth. Last year, that looked like a really key element in this victory. You gonna get it packed ready?
Yes, I need a piece. I'll get one before I get in there. A piece of chewing gum.
Yates should have siliconed that microphone. With the proper tone having been set, it was time for the 4-cylinder 4-wheel drive GP, featuring our favorite couple once again, riding the wave of Reefer Madness. Lady Luck set the swamp press into a froth with the debut of an all-new sippy hole technique. Yes, the Lady Luck paddles ripped seconds off the usual meander through the perennial eater of Jeep. Then, crouching to attain the proper drag coefficient, Lady Luck held on tight as the mighty Reefer Madness approached top speed. With these examples of tactical merit, Tom and Debbie blew by all competition. Speaking of blow by, old Reefer Madness seemed to be inhaling more than just gas and air. Thus was the atmosphere in which yours truly fell under the spell of Reefer Madness and entered the little feature. Yes, there we were, just she and me. Lady Luck absolutely awash with anticipation of yet another soaking. Now, having spent years broadcasting drag races, you might figure that I knew what a hole shot was, how to pull one off. Nope. I found out firsthand the joys of a face full of swamp water. Now, never mind that any Jeep was way outclassed against the likes of Michael Davis and No Reverse, Danny Daniels and Risky Business, and Jay Rowe and Scrappy, but Lady Luck couldn't even muster a good sippy hole paddle to save the day. I was shocked. You guessed it, we became laughter-heffing. Lady Luck even suggested that I honor the moment by changing my name to Pierre Debris. Danny Daniels went on to take the win in Risky Business, slowly making it to the sippy hole, while Deb and I made the best of professional embarrassment. As always, old pal Ed Bruce, well, he was totally sympathetic.
I have to let you know one thing. Of all the instances of beyond the Call of Duty that I've ever seen, you have embarrassed all of us at Diamond. We didn't win? No, I'm sorry. The thing, I'd have would have won, except the front wheels weren't dragging.
No, they weren't. Only the back.
They weren't pulling. The rear wheels were driving.
Tom broke something in the car.
So the the wireless mic took a bad hit, guys. They'll probably take this out of my pay, huh?
Hey, what's a couple of $1,000 in the quest of swamp immortality? Exactly, a couple of $1,000. They made me pay. 1984 big feature time. There was Leonard Chester's brother Lonnie in The Outlaw, along with David Sims and Jack Nasty, Roger Williams and Paul Rat, and Danny Daniels in Risky Business. Talk about great swamp buggy racing. Lonnie Chester had a big, powerful buggy in The Outlaw, and no matter what David Sims tried, he could not get past. Lonnie was better in the corners, on the straightaways as well. Raw horsepower dominated this one. But David Sims, in his trademark Jim Thorpe official 1920 style football helmet, would not let up, and taking an inside line, dousing Lonnie mercilessly, and sawing the wheel with experienced abandon, David Sims took the 1984 King of the Swamp title in what should have been an outclassed buggy. With one more trip to the sippy hole, and Lonnie almost flipping the Outlaw, David Sims talked to our swamp-damaged microphone.
It was a hard race, but I got me up starting line through the first hole, and I stayed right on his rear tires, just biding my time all the way. He finally fell out far enough to give me a place, and I shot in beside him.
You had more power. You could run past him then, huh?
Once I got a place to run, I had him cut off on the inside, and the inside was mine. Then I had a bump on the back. I'm sorry about it, but Lonnie tried to come back in, and I was too close.
Did he hit you? Is that what broke his steering, do you think, or are you not sure?
I don't know. I think we had a bump on the back side.
And with a style and grace evoking the legendary Terry Langford before him, David Sims, style shag nasty to the cameras as he celebrates his mud hole monarchy.